Yup. You was a madam, for real. I ain't never seen a white lady get her mouth right like that. Look at this, y'all. Did she just lick the remaining cocaine from inside her gums so she could stay straight? What was that, y'all? She looked like niggas just said, yo, there go the bricks right there. She hollered. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right there. Y'all see? Yo, y'all ain't never seen that shit. You ain't never seen a conversation on camera where a white woman did that. Did she get the remainder, or she was fixing the filler in her lips? The inside feel funny, so she had to get them right. She definitely know that cocaine hitting though. Whoa. She got tracks. Yo, this white lady got a lace front wig. All coke got fentanyl in it and concrete. Yo, I watched this shit where they was using concrete to cut the coke. Swear to God, from the plants. It's a long story. Concrete, nigga. Powder. Yes. All in the coke. Before it even get over here. Concrete mix, nigga. Couldn't believe it. They sidebarring already? God damn it. Niggas got heated pads in their chest. Niggas crazy. She off the stand already? God damn. What the fuck? Oh. Yo, both of them wearing dresses that don't hug they bottom right, y'all. Look, y'all already know. She thick as a snicker, right? Look, right? They purposely went and got joints that ain't really hugging. They did that on purpose. They must have seen they own ass on camera. Like, nah, that I ain't gonna lie. They got me. You mean? That must be considered unprofessional.
only aware that this particular post has been shared a number of times. And it is of concern for the state, for the integrity of this case that I understand. That's you, please, but there's a trade-off to that. If you then kind of make it an issue, then I think that you draw attention that may not necessarily need to. If somebody reacts because of that attention, then I'll go ahead and deal with the other issues at that point. But Your Honor, this time we don't know. It's very possible that any of these jurors could have had contact from family members who saw that post, from anyone who may have texted them, inadvertently texted them about this image, and that may impair on their ability to be fair. I'm just not going to weird them out, and that's the last I'll say about it at this point.
Not guilty. Not guilty. He said he not gonna wear them out. Y'all both just weirded him the fuck out. Y'all just scared the shit out of him. Yo actually said I'm not going to wear them out. Yo, if the people, oh, so they not in there right now. But this shit being streamed. Yo, do y'all know what weirded out means in this situation? I'm not gonna let them know their life is in danger. Yo, we talking. He playing fair. Fuck no, he not. He dropping the ball. He dropping the ball. He was supposed to. Yo, all right. Let me. Do y'all know that they are telling you that these people are violent? So let's take this into context. This is John Gotti and them. This is the mob, where niggas was wearing hoods in court to testify. Niggas getting covered up so they could testify. So in this situation, the jury's exposed. Picture got leaked. He wants us to believe that it ain't a big deal. I ain't even gonna bring it up in front of them. I don't want them to be worried. The goddamn state's attorney or whatever the hell she is, you know what I mean, with the smooth bottom, she know it's a problem. And I told y'all this yesterday. I said, yo, technically this is the state burden problem right here. Now, if I'm the defense, I can bring it up, but I already know as the defense I don't need to, because technically if a juror feel like they've been exposed, what they gonna do? Not guilty. That's what she arguing right now. The jury got leaked yesterday. Not the whole jury, a part of it. What they're saying is one of the persons has been identified. It's a solid side picture of the nigga. Niggas know ya. You feel me? She bringing it up to the judge. He just downplayed it like I ain't gonna make a big deal out of it. Yo, we talking about people's lives on the line because of somebody you telling us is dangerous, and a whole group of people that listen to him. I mean, might be one of the most famous people in Atlanta at the moment. You understand? If you is talking about someone connected to the streets with some type of leverage. So a juror get exposed and we just downplaying it. It ain't, I ain't even, he used the words. I'm not going to weird them out with it. Weird them out. Yo, you're giving them the drop that somebody might be on their ass. And you got them here on the strength of they're a citizen of a certain city, and y'all just got them in here to do this job for y'all. But y'all throwing him under the bus by letting his picture get leaked and not getting his ass up out of here. Real rap. You being real fucking irresponsible right now. Straight up, because this is your responsibility. You accountable to look out for these people, everybody in that court. This on him. And he just said, I don't want to weird him out. They can use the alternate jerk. They need to swap his ass. I don't know what the fuck that house mom gonna testify to. It looked like she got up out of there. I don't know what she ready to testify to, bro. I ain't even gonna lie. I am befuddled. Oh yeah, we definitely not guilty. We was not guilty at first, Matt. We was not guilty at first. Like, they was gonna have to work hella hard to get a guilty out me. It was gonna be hung jury off top. I'm letting y'all know this bitch was gonna be hung jury or not guilty off rip. Just cause it's that many black people, I'm gonna keep it real. Thug jacket ain't that bad. You gotta incriminate the actual person. Black people are not into this government reach where you incriminate this person because of what these people did. I ain't even gonna lie, that concept doesn't sell good. Real rap. Even in fuck that. Go to any community and tell them that you ready to take off somebody that helps people flat out. We can see him helping people, but you telling us that this fuckery that's happening that we know goes down regardless. That's a part of the economy. You want me to get him locked up? I mean, lock him up for something you do yourself.
Like I said, if you have additional information that you'd like me to consider, at that point, I'll go ahead and move to step 2. Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. Okay. Anybody here need to take comfort? We got 5 minutes as well. Okay. So we'll be in recess until that time.
All right, they back. Yo, Thug a sucker too, yo. That nigga don't hoop. Nobody say hell yeah, yo. I used to play in the AAU with Thug. That nigga nice. That nigga like 6'5", y'all. If that nigga ain't got no crossover, and he better know how to dunk. If he can't dunk, he a bitch, y'all. Real shit. If Thug can't dunk, he a bitch. A QB? Okay. Washington High. Oh, for real? He really was? The music industry like tall niggas too, y'all. It's entertainment for some reason, y'all. It's a lot of tall niggas. Like everybody that tower over niggas like that, I'm telling you, it's a lot of them. Nipsey, Meek, Game, Snoop, Jay kind of tall. Like I'm telling you, it's the shit, y'all. They like short niggas too, but for some reason the taller niggas is more popular. No. They like the real short nigga. Don't that's of course that's an anomaly too, bro. The nigga fucking 5'7". You feel me? Niggas 5'6", you feel me? That's an anomaly too. Kevin Hart ass niggas. But they rare. The tall nigga is more popular. Cause he tower over niggas. I ain't even gonna lie. You can see his face in the crowd. I swear, I've caught on to why they do it. You can see a nigga face in the club. I'm talking about you do a scan, you see the nigga. I swear to God. I've been peeped it. It really work. Oh, I learned it from the police. The police will tell you too. If you ever standing somewhere and you with a tall ass nigga and the police pull up on y'all, they'll tell the tall nigga, yo, I seen your ass from all the way down the street. You the tallest nigga out here. I knew it was you. You're the only nigga who's a foot taller than everybody else. I knew it was you from down the block. I said, damn, that shit stands. So y'all. Slim Duncan. Matter of fact, my homeboy that got close to Gucci Man and them, he was tall. For real. They like that tall shit.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Don't the presidents be tall a certain height? Ain't been no short presidents. All them niggas been over 6 foot.
Ms. Rosser, please. Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Rosser, you were in the process of explaining to the jury your responsibilities as a house mom, and you were talking, the last thing you were stating was about what happens at the end of the night.
Nah, them bushes small. They short.
And your responsibility. Right, and we close out by the manager and I meet in the office, and we close out the books, and then we leave. All right. And if you could raise your voice up to that level that you had it before. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's fine. As a house mom, that you do every night that you are working or on duty at the business? That is a practice I do every night since I have been with this company, since I have been a house mom. Well, I've only been a house mom for them. So every night, that is the same practice we go through every night. And you were talking about working or having opened up the Pink Pony South. I was helped open it. We hired, they brought on staff to open it up, and I was one of the original staff brought on to open the Pink Pony South. At some point, did you also become a house mom at another location?
Well, in 2011, Pink Pony South was having issues with Forest Park, and it looked like they were going to close Pink Pony South, so they moved me to the Gold Rush, which is on Metropolitan Parkway.
What is the address on Metropolitan Parkway?
Our address is 2608 Metropolitan Parkway.
So when was it that you started working at the Gold Rush?
In November of 2011.
Now tell the jury a little bit about what your duties were at the Gold Rush, and by that I mean the times that you worked and what you did when you went.
It was the house momming process is the same at all of our clubs.
Okay.
Across, yes, we do everything the same. Paperwork's the same. Wednesdays, every night, I leave my house about 7:30, get there at about 8 o'clock. That's when night shift starts. Thursday morning, we'll close the shift Thursday, and Friday morning between 5 to 6, I'll get out. Saturday and Sunday morning, anywhere from 7 to 8:30 or 9.
So it's a 12-hour shift for you?
Towards the weekends, it is. We run more girls. Every girl does have to pass. I have more paperwork. And I'll let them stay there and at least try to pass and give them time to pass. And then when I go, if they haven't been able to pass, then we get them a ride to make sure they get home safely.
Okay. How visible are you within the Gold Rush from the time that you go in to the time that you leave?
Not visible at all. I come in, I go in back, I usually come out maybe once, and no one would ever know I'm there the rest of the night.
And when you leave, let me go back to January 18th of 2013. Would you tell the jury what you remember about that specific date?
I actually did not remember the date, so it was any other day. It's monotonous, everything there.
Do you remember the day of the week?
I do not even.
Okay.
No, I do not. I just...
Would showing you an incident report from that event refresh your memory at all?
It would, yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to label the document that I will show the witness, states 19 R, and I will show, well, counsel has this. It's an incident report, case number 2013-01-0272 that has been provided in discovery.
All right.
May I approach?
You may, madam.
If you would, just reading page 1 at the top, and if it does not refresh your memory, that's fine, but just let me know if it does.
Okay, thank you.
And you're welcome to come through any other.
Let us know when you finish, Ms. Rosser, okay?
Thank you, I will. Yes, sir.
And you can continue to flip through. You don't have to stop it.
Oh.
Judge, if I may, if it'll help things along, I'm going to stipulate that it was Friday, the double day of the week.
Your Honor, I appreciate that, but if it doesn't refresh the witnesses.
No, it did. Thank you very much.
All right, okay.
So, Ms. Rosser, if it is a Friday,
Right.
If that's the day of the week that it was, what is it that your schedule would have been on that day?
It says it was 4:30 in the morning. That was early. It's January. That wouldn't be unheard of. That's a little slower time of year. It's season, any type of work like that. So that isn't surprising. So the schedule still would have been the same as far as the paperwork, checking out all of the young ladies, waiting on everyone to breathalyze, and then closing out the books. At which point I would have had left to go home.
Now, when you left to go home, are you usually escorted to your car, or do you go to your car by yourself? What is the practice that you usually followed back then?
Valet usually pulls the few of us who are left. He pulls our cars up in front of the front door. There's security still inside and security outside. So we'll have security outside, security inside. And I just walk out and get in my car myself. It's usually like I step out our front door, walk a couple of feet, and my car's, he parks it so that I can get into it and drive off.
And are you carrying things in your arms normally, or is someone else bringing your things to the car for you?
No, I carry my own things.
Okay. And this particular night, or morning rather, so this would have been Thursday night, you would have worked into Friday morning?
That is correct.
So this particular morning, as you're leaving to get into your car, do you recall what it is that you're carrying with you and taking to the car?
Well, I know I would have had my purse and a lunchbox. I take food because I eat every 3 hours. And I had my backpack that night because my daughter had an engagement party, and my dad had passed a year prior, and so I think it was a year prior. And I had brought my camera. Phones didn't do back then what they do now. I brought my camera to upload pictures. And I had a CD of my dad in there. I'm sorry. And I was going to do some things with the CD of my dad. Because those nights are usually a little way back, and I have some extra time. So that's what I would have had.
It's 11 o'clock.
And every night I have my purse and my lunchbox. I don't normally have the backpack.
And so you go and get in your car, and are you alone, or is there someone accompanying you as you get into your car?
No, I get in my car by myself. I get in my car by myself. I drive off by myself.
And when you drive off by yourself, would you tell the jury generally the route that you would take?
Oh, yes. leave out of the parking lot, exit left onto Metropolitan, right, and then I take the interstate and head south towards Newman.
Which interstate?
I-85, and I live off exit 51, so I always take exit 51. I then go right. I don't know, it's maybe a half a mile. There's a railway and a red light. I stop there or not, turn left, and go on down. I think it's about 12 miles, it was at the time, until you get to my subdivision where I lived at the time.
And so how long was the drive generally from your workplace to your home? Or actually, let's go back and say from your workplace to the place where you were stopped that morning.
That actually it was very close to my house. It is about 35 minutes, about a 35-minute drive.
During this time of the morning, do you notice whether or not there are a lot of cars on the road, or not so many cars on the road?
There usually are not. It's a peaceful drive home.
And did you notice anything at all as you were driving home that would have seemed out of the ordinary at all?
I did not, no.
Would you then tell the jury what kind of car it was that you were driving?
It actually was a 2012 Chevrolet Malibu. We had just bought it. My daughter had just bought it, actually. It was her car. So I had driven her car to work.
Did it have any kind of special features like OnStar?
It did. It did have OnStar. The car had OnStar. I had not had time to activate the OnStar system.
And did it have its tag yet?
Oh my, I don't remember.
All right. So as you're driving your car, your daughter's car home, would you tell the jury what, if anything, happened that you remember from that night as you drove home that morning?
I don't remember anything. Usually, like I said, I work 3 jobs. It's a peaceful time of morning. I usually have my radio on. It's a decompressing time for me. It's just time to think, meditate. And I'm probably, so anyone following me, I would have been oblivious. That's my time.
Did something interrupt your decompression?
Well, yes. When I turned into the subdivision, the entrance I would normally take, one travels about 3 car lengths, at which point you have a dead end and the option to turn left or right. And I stopped at the stop sign, and I felt someone hit me. I looked up and saw a car. I didn't want to block the entrance, so I pulled on to the right, which is the direction I would have taken to go home anyway. So I turned to the right, stopped, got out of my car, turned it off. I left my keys and everything in my car. The subdivision in which I was living at the time, a lot of Delta people worked there. People were coming and going all hours of the day and night. I mean, women would be pushing babies in strollers 5:30 in the morning out running. So I thought nothing of it. I got out and turned the car off, left the door open, everything in the car. I walked towards the back of the car. A young man got out of his car. I greeted him. He greeted me. I looked down at the bumper and saw no damage. And I really, at that point, was going to look up and say, honey, I'm tired. I'm going home. You go home. And as I looked up, I saw someone in his car rising up, and he was running around me. I guess my mind knew something was about to happen, something that wasn't good, but it happened so fast. He got in my car, and because of the backpack, my mind just focused on the backpack. I opened the back left passenger's door, thinking I could reach into the front seat and get the backpack, and the backpack, because it had my daddy's CD in it and my camera. So I reached in to get that, and I guess instinct, I don't know, God. Said, just let it go. So I stepped back and actually shut the door myself. And he drove off. At that point, I think the other car had already gone. So I ran to the house directly from where I'd stopped, banging on the door, yelling. No one came to that door, so I went to the next house. A gentleman and his wife came to the door. They let me in. I do remember it was cool. That morning. They called my husband for me, and then law enforcement was called. The Newnan Police Department was called.
What was the subdivision name?
Avery Park subdivision.
And do you remember the address of the place where the police were called?
Nope. You know she had some jewelry on. You know, come on. You know she had the diamond ring on, something. Come on, nobody ain't went that nothing. Cause I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting all that. If we taking shit, yeah, you give me all that. Earrings, wedding ring, yeah, that motherfucker cost a couple. Yes, sir. She ain't say none of that, yo. She ain't say I was in fear for my life. These motherfuckers had the strap. Did she say niggas had the strap? I ain't even hear her say that. This is the briefest damn description of crime I ever heard.
I know the address of where. I know it was on the report. I do not remember the address.
Look like that?
I know the address of where. I know it was on the report. I don't remember the address. That would have been in Avery Park. So that's Baldwin Court is that first road. The road that would have been in Avery Park. So that.
You said that women are generally sometimes pushing their babies in strollers around 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's around 4:29, 4:30 in the morning. Do you remember what the atmosphere was like?
It was quiet. I mean, it was early, but like I said, people are coming and going at all times of the day and night there. So.
And what did you mean when you said Delta people live there?
A lot of Delta employees.
Delta Airlines?
Delta Airlines, yes.
Is the lighting, is it lit inside the subdivision or is it dark?
It is lit, yes. The subdivision is well lit, yes.
Approximately how long did the interaction with the people who took your car take place?
It was just me literally stepping out to greet him and the young man greeting me. I mean, in my mind at that time, it's a fender bender. Most accidents aren't on purpose, so I'm going to greet someone.
Now, you were never asked to identify anyone or anything like that, right? Or were you?
I was not, no.
And were you never shown any lineups or anything like that?
I was not.
However, were you able to at least observe a general description of the person that did that?
I was, because I'm 5'8". He was slightly shorter than me. Not thin, but a little smaller young man.
Were you able to discern what ethnicity or race this person was?
It was a black young man.
Okay.
Or he looked to be black. I could not say he was for certainty. He looked to be like a black young man.
Okay. And do you recall his general age that he appeared to be?
He seemed really young. He did seem young. I would say early 20s to mid 20s. I know kids around that age, for a span there, they don't age at all. So one wouldn't know.
Right. Did you notice anything about his hair or clothing or anything else like that?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not.
You mentioned someone rising up in the other car.
Right.
What did you mean by that?
Someone apparently was bent over because when I got out, he was the only person in the car, but then I saw someone lean up and slide towards the driver's seat. I at that time, he was running around me. I could not have even discerned whether or not it was a male or female.
So the interaction lasted less than 5 minutes? Is that fair?
Oh, much less than 5 minutes.
And you didn't ever stare at the person, did you? Or was there a...
No, because like I said, I greeted him and immediately looked to see, because it was my daughter's car and she had had it for, I think, a week. So I looked down to see how much damage I had done to her car. And then he was running past me. So literally our interaction was me saying, hello, how are you? And he said, hello, ma'am, or whatever he said.
After that, did you take any steps to try and have the car located?
I had told men in police that this car did have OnStar, and my cell phone was in there too. They didn't, I guess they did not attempt to call OnStar. I called the dealership because a couple of days later I realized my check for the down payment on the car was going to bounce.
Why?
Because I had to cancel all of my accounts. I had to cancel all of my credit cards. I had my daughter's checkbook in there. I was joined on her account at the time. So I had to cancel all our bank accounts, all our credit cards. And then it occurred to me, they're going to get a bounce check. I don't want the law coming after me for a bounce check. So I called the dealership to let them know what had happened. The lady asked me if I had contacted OnStar. And I said I have not, because I have not had time to activate the OnStar. And she said, ma'am, you don't have to have it activated. OnStar can find your car. So I called OnStar. I do know I worked that night. I don't remember. I think they called me on the way to work and told me they had found my car. I don't know if they called law enforcement or if I called them. I don't remember, but law enforcement was called, and OnStar told them where my car was located.
And do you remember the date that happened when OnStar called and told you that your car was located?
No, ma'am. That was 10 years ago. Oh, my.
Fair enough. I'm going to show you what we have marked as State's Exhibit 4 Alpha. That's uppercase alpha and 5 alpha that has been shown to defense. Your Honor, may I approach?
I'm sorry, I've got the number. Can I see which one you actually put up there?
Oh,
All right, that's fine. I have no objection.
Okay.
Do you recognize this vehicle?
Yes, that is my daughter's vehicle.
Okay. Now, are 4A and 5A accurate representations of the vehicle that was taken from you the night you just described for the jury?
That is correct.
Okay. Your Honor, the state tenders 4A and 5A as evidence.
Any objection, sir?
None whatsoever.
All right, 4A and 5A are admitted and may be published as you see fit.
Ms. Rosser, in the photograph depicted in 4A, was that your residence where the vehicle is parked?
That is not my residence.
Did you ever take that vehicle to that residence?
No, I did not.
When you were speaking with police, when you initially made your report to the police, do you remember telling them that you slowed down because of the weather or the roads being slippery and
I don't remember that, but if the road was slippery, I would have slowed down.
And would showing you the narrative from the report that I just showed you, would it refresh your memory as to that?
I actually had read that when you handed it to me earlier, and I did not remember, but obviously I did tell them that.
Do you recall the size, the weight that you gave to the officers as to approximately how big the person was that took your car?
I actually can still remember him because he looked like any average young man. I mean, he didn't look like a football player. He was, oh my goodness. Just, like I said, probably he was at least 5'7", shorter than me. Not thin build, just an average build.
And do you recall saying he was about 130? Was that your words or was that the officer?
That would be about right for his weight, for his size, as well as I remember him. That would be about right.
Do you recall how much money it was that was in your purse at the time?
I know it was over $1,000 or more, and then I had checks because I do own a fitness center. Some of my members of my gym had written me checks for the gym memberships, so I had checks from other people in my purse.
Do you recall telling the police it was about $2,000?
Objection to the leading.
If I show you the report,
I stand in objection.
would it refresh your memory as to about how much you said?
That would be about right.
And the other items that you said were inside your vehicle, would you repeat what those were?
My laptop was in a backpack, a laptop backpack. I had a laptop, which is a custom order laptop, because my degree's in math. It was a PC, a custom order PC, and I think I paid about $3,200 for it. I had a camera. I had, like I said, my lunch bag. I had my purse, my checkbook, my daughter's checkbook, cash, checks from the gym members, my credit cards, my driver's license, and my social security card.
Did you have an iPhone?
I did have an iPhone, that is correct.
Did you try to use your iPhone or iCloud account to locate your car?
I did not use it to try and locate the car. I did try and find my phone, and to no avail.
What do you mean to no avail?
We couldn't find it. It was just not even registering at all. So,
Was it on at the time that your car was taken?
I'm almost certain I would have had it on. Because I have kids, I work a lot, I keep my phone on. So I guess at the time that they had turned it off because I could not locate it.
That Thursday night leading into the Friday morning when your car was taken, were there patrons in the club?
Oh,
Were there people? Were there
I'm sure there were. I could not tell you.
I promise you I'm not going to ask you who all was in the club.
I was going to say I cannot give you a quantity, a number. I could not tell you.
Are you able to tell the jury, generally, are there any age groups or specific demographics that visit the club, or is it a broad spectrum?
No, we actually have a very mixed customer base. It is the age range, the ethnicity. We have a range.
So are there young black people, young white people, older black people?
All of the above. We get blacks, Asians, Hispanics, whites. We get young people, we get middle-aged people, we get men, we get women. We have quite a diversity among our customer base.
And are you at all familiar with, or were you at all acquainted with anyone by the name of Trontavia Stevens?
Not of which I'm aware. We have a few customers that I come in, they'll hug my neck, the regulars, hey, Miss Melissa. I don't know people's names. I'm not out there long enough to know a name.
So you are, when you spoke earlier about the fact that you're rarely in the club or visible, when you speak about coming there hugging customers' necks, when does that happen?
When I get there, when my shift starts, because sometimes there are regulars in there, and I'm 55. I'm like mom to them, so they're all going to hug Miss Melissa's neck and ask, and they're sweet. I mean, we have amazing customers at our club.
And when you leave, do you generally tell your customers goodbye, or are there generally no customers left in?
There are no customers. The young ladies have an option to either leave prior to, when we do last call, at that point, young ladies are not allowed to leave until the parking lot is cleared of all customers. No staff is allowed to leave until the parking lot is cleared of all customers, and that is for their safety, because we have a barricade. There's only one way in and one way out.
And what time is it that the club would have closed and all customers would have been required to leave?
We do last call at 2:45. All customers have to be out by 3. No exceptions. That's the law.
And if all customers were out by 3, what time would you have gone out, like left?
If that incident occurred at 4:30, I would have had to have left about 3:55 that morning. Because I was in my subdivision, and within a half a mile of my own house.
As far as the parking lot is concerned, how wide or how large is the parking lot of the Gold?
Objection, relevance.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that question because I'm going to next ask her, did she pay any attention to whether or not anyone was on the perimeter of it, or did she even see that?
Your Honor, she's already testified that there was no one there at the time she leave.
I object
No
to the
exception.
speaking.
Okay, all right, okay. I'm going to sustain the objection. Just move on, all right?
Sure. And you said that you left and you got in the car, you didn't notice anything, but was there anything on the perimeter of the parking lot? Anything at all that caught your attention, or nothing at all?
I really don't pay attention. I mean, when I walk out, I notice, like, the manager's car, security is usually there, a foreman, cars of any young ladies who have not been able to pass the breathalyzer. They leave their cars, because we do have overnight security. As far as the perimeter, behind us is a trailer park. If you're exiting our club, to the left would be a trailer park. Directly in front is a liquor store, and to the right is Metropolitan. So as far as the parking lots where the liquor store and everything is, I wouldn't have paid attention because there, again, can be cars in and out across the road. There's parking, and there are cars there throughout the night, and when we leave in the morning sometimes. So I would have paid that no attention either.
Now, I asked you whether or not you knew a Trontavious Stevens. Are you at all familiar with, or have you ever had any reason to be at 2612 Old Hateville Road?
No, I don't know where Hateville Road is.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have. Defense may have some questions.
Cross.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Adams.
Yes, sir. Ross, good morning, man.
Good morning. How are
You
you?
okay?
I'm blessed, thank you.
All right. You and I have not met before, true?
That is a true statement.
All right. And so I want to ask you just a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
And I know that this case we've been discussing, the incident which you happened back in 2013, right?
That is correct.
10 years ago, roughly.
Yes.
But I want to ask you about this case. Right? Some questions about this case that you're here for today. So, you were a house mom back in 2013, right?
That is correct.
This incident you've been questioned about occurred in Newnan, Georgia, where you live.
That is correct.
That location is about a half an hour or so away, maybe a little bit more, from where you were.
That is correct.
When you left the club that night, and you went to Noonan, you drove to Noonan, you did not notice anyone following you, anything like that?
No, sir.
One of the things you testified to a little while ago, correct me if I'm wrong, and if I say anything wrong, please correct me, right? You said that the customers are gone by the time you leave the location.
That is correct.
They're cleared out. I think your words were no exception, right?
That is correct, yes, sir.
So when in talking to the officers later on in regards to that incident, nothing to suggest that there was you didn't see anyone following you when you left the club, right?
I would not have been aware of anyone, no, sir.
All right. In fact, the first time that you noticed anything, according to the police report that Madam Prosecutor showed you a little while ago, was when you were actually in Noonan, close to your home, correct?
Correct.
You saw lights in your rear view, and you actually, you kind of caught your attention because you thought, hey, I'm driving slow, and you thought the person behind you, the lights coming up on you might be kind of irritated that you were driving slow. You remember telling the police that?
I really do not even remember that part of it,
Okay.
and I apologize. But if I told him that, then I'm certain, and that does sound like something I would say.
Okay, and listen, no need to apologize. We're just asking what you remember to try and get a sense of what's relevant.
Objection, Your Honor, as to relevance.
I sustain the objection.
Thank you.
All right. Rephrase, sir.
All right, yes, sir. All right, so back to the facts of what happened. Someone hit you from the back.
Yes, sir.
You get out of the car.
Yes.
You see a young man, kind of nondescript looking young man, right?
Correct.
5'7"
Yes, sir.
130-ish pounds, a small guy.
Yes, sir.
Maybe a little smaller than me.
Probably a little smaller. Yes, sir.
Give me 5'8".
I didn't want to hurt you. I'm trying not to step on your toes on that one, okay?
And I appreciate that too. So this kid gets out of the car.
Yes, sir.
And he said something to you on the effects of you said, oh, he said, yes, ma'am, or something like that, all right?
He greeted me. I don't remember if he said, hello, ma'am, or how are you? He greeted me. I greeted him. He greeted me in return.
You're in the back looking at your car, and he, in the meantime, goes around, jumps in your car, and takes off.
He circles up on the curb, and yes, sir, he turns around and takes off back. Out the direction in which we had come in.
You don't know where that kid in the car he was in came from, right?
Oh, correct. No.
I mean, this is Noonan, so, whether, this kid came from Noonan or from wherever, you don't know. The only thing you know is that this happened about 35 or 40 minutes away from where you work in Atlanta, right?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
You didn't recognize this kid coming out of the car, did you?
No, sir.
Okay. You cannot say, hey, look, I saw him before. That face looks familiar. Not at all.
No.
Your car is gone at that point, and you ultimately end up talking to the police. True?
True.
Okay. You speak to the police, and you told them what happened. You told them about the car having OnStar, and about 6 days later is when you're notified, whether by the police or someone, that the car had been recovered or found. True?
True.
Okay. You don't know, right? I mean, frankly, what happened to the car in that 6-day period of time, right?
That is correct. No, sir, I do not.
You have no way of knowing. You can't testify that it went through 1 pair of hands, 5 pair of hands, 6 people went to however many different cities. We just don't know, right?
That's true. Yes, sir.
All we know is that at some point the car was found somewhere in Atlanta, right?
Correct.
Okay. You were never called upon. I know you were asked this a little bit earlier. You were never called upon to come and identify anyone who was found in possession of the car, right?
That is correct, yes, sir.
You were never told by anyone, by police, law enforcement, that anyone was found in possession of the car.
At some point, I received a call. They had found my car. It actually was sometime later. I was given 2 names because they did ask me if I knew the names. I wrote the names down and did not recognize the names. So that is the extent of it.
Right. And certainly there was never a time when the police said, hey, you know what? I want you to come in here, take a look at this picture, and see if you identify anyone. That never happened.
No, sir, that did not happen.
One of the things that you were asked about a little bit earlier, I only got a couple more questions for you because just a few more questions. Friday is when this happened, like Thursday going into Friday, right?
Right.
And what I heard you say earlier is that that day was like any other day, correct?
Oh, yes, sir.
It was kind of slow. Didn't appear to be anything unusual going on in the club.
Right.
When you are there at work, I think your words were, I'm not that visible. You're kind of in the back. You're not really out there mingling with folks. Folks don't really see you, right?
No, they did not. That is correct.
To use your words, no one ever knows you're there.
Most of them do not. I really come in at 8, and like I said earlier, I might go back out on the floor one time. I often have to go to the office once for something. Shortly after getting there, I can't give you a time frame, within an hour after getting there probably. But after that, I do not go back out on the floor, no, sir.
Okay. And there was nothing, in this case, on this particular day, go to work, you're there, right?
Yes, sir.
Nothing really happens. Nothing out of the ordinary, right?
Correct.
You don't see anyone looking at you.
Oh, no, sir.
You don't see anyone walking out or walking around the perimeter of this location when you're leaving, because everyone's gone, right?
That is correct.
You get in your car, and something happens down in Newnan, Georgia.
That is correct.
All right. And that's it.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Any redirect, madam?
I don't know any other.
Oh, I'm sorry. Any other examination? Ms. Sharp?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Williams?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Matthews?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Weinstein?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Kwame, Mr. Swan. No, Your Honor.
Ms. Westmoreland? All right. I think that's it then. Okay, all right.
I have a brief redirect. Ms. Foster, just a couple of questions following up from Mr. Adams. Mr. Adams mentioned where you worked in Atlanta, and I neglected to ask you when you said 2608 Metropolitan Parkway. That is in Atlanta in Fulton County. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. That is the address to the Gold Rush.
And you said you did not know and had not visited 2612 Old Hayville Road. Do you have any idea how far 2608 Metropolitan Highway is from Old Hayville Road in general?
I have no idea.
Okay. And finally, you said when you were asked on cross-examination by Mr. Adams, no one knows that you're there. Is that sort of a generality, or is that literally you're meaning nobody knows that you're there?
It's a generality. I mean, the young ladies know I'm there. The regulars know I'm there. But so no one, being a universal modifier is not actually appropriate. People know I'm there, but most of the customer base really would not know I was there.
Thank you. That's all that.
You're welcome.
Anything further, counsels?
No, sir.
All right. May Ms. Rosser be permanently or temporarily excused the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Permanent?
Permanently.
All right. Ms. Rosser, I'm going to permanently excuse you as a witness. I appreciate your patience with us. Don't discuss your testimony with anybody except the attorneys in this case, okay?
Thank you very
All right.
much.
Thank you, madam. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? We good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Call your next witness.
The state called Captain Pettis. There was a request regarding cameras.
All right. Members of the media, would it be appropriate, or could I ask your assistance in not filming? You may do audio or video, audio of our next witness, but the court would ask that you not film him, okay? All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. Can we summon Captain Pettis or Officer Pettis? Ms. Love, what's the first name of your witness, or Ms. Hilton, what's the first name of your witness, please?
Did the court hear?
Reginald?
Yes.
Thank you. Captain Pettis, good morning, sir. Sir, I'm up here. If you could please approach the witness stand. Once you get there, if you'd be so kind to turn and face Sergeant Ingram and be sworn as a witness before you sit down, sir.
Raise your right hand. You swear firm testimony give the name truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Have a seat. State and spell your first and last name.
First name is Reginald, Reginald. Last name is Pettis, Pettis.
Good morning, Captain Pettis.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Captain Pettis, would you please introduce yourself to the jury and tell them where it is that you currently work?
Good morning. I'm Captain Reginald Pettis. I am assigned to Zone 3 of the Atlanta Police Department.
And Captain Pettis, I'm surprised I'm going to have to tell you this, but I'm going to need you to talk up a little bit louder.
Okay.
Because I can barely hear you back here.
All right.
The jury's barely here. So you're assigned to Zone 3?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Would you tell the jury what area of Atlanta Zone 3 encompasses?
Southeast Atlanta.
And you can look at them, talk to them.
Okay.
Southeast Atlanta, the border of Zone 3.
The rough border would be south of I-20, west of Moreland Avenue, and east of Murphy Avenue, with the southmost border being 285.
How long have you been captain of that zone?
Since May 24th, 2022.
Now, prior to May 24th, 2022, and at this time, are you currently certified as a law enforcement officer by the Police Officer Standards and Training Council of Georgia?
Yes.
And how long have you been so certified?
17 years.
So prior to working or being promoted, I suppose, to captain of Zone 3, what was your position there?
I was the unit commander of our Homeland Security unit.
Now, would you tell the jury what responsibilities that you currently hold as captain of that zone?
I'm the assistant zone commander, meaning that the major is the zone commander. I handle most of the day-to-day operations and the staffing of the zone.
And what did you do as unit commander of the Homeland Security Unit?
I oversaw a unit that consists of intelligence analysts, investigators, and technical investigators that have proficiency in all things computer related.
And how many investigators how many persons were you responsible for overseeing?
Approximately 12, including 2 sergeants.
Approximately how many?
12.
How long did you work as unit commander of the Homeland Security?
For about 2.5 years.
Where were you positioned when you were unit commander? Were you working in the same place, Zone 3?
No, ma'am. We were in the headquarters building, 226 Peachtree.
And before that, where did you work?
I was in the Auto Crimes Enforcement Unit.
How long did you work there?
About 6 months.
And from what date to what date were you in the Auto Crimes Enforcement Unit?
Approximately January of 2020 until May of 2020.
Before that, what were your responsibilities?
As the ACE unit commander of the Auto Crimes Enforcement Unit, we were a traffic unit mainly, and our goal was to stop people from stealing cars, and once they stole cars, to interdict them and arrest those people.
What's interdict?
Figure out who they are, where they're going next, just gather intelligence on them. And then at the tail end of my tenure there, we really were being tasked with a lot of street racer enforcement because it was 2020 and everybody was in the house and that's what they were doing.
Those are the times.
Yeah.
Prior to January of 2020, what did you do with the Atlanta Police Department?
I got promoted to lieutenant in January of 2019. I was assigned to Zone 2 as the day watch commander. Then I got moved to the administrative unit commander in Zone 2, and then to the criminal investigations division of Zone 2.
And what were your responsibilities with the criminal investigations division of Zone 2?
Well, back then we had our investigators assigned to each zone, as opposed to now where they're all collected together at headquarters. So I supervised the investigations that took place in Zone 2.
Prior to January 2019, where did you work?
I was a sergeant. I was assigned to Zone 5.
When did you start working as a sergeant in Zone 5?
Approximately July of 2014.
And before then, what were you assigned to do?
Before that, I was an investigator assigned to Zone 3.
Is Old Hateville Road in Zone 3?
Yes.
Specifically, is 20... Six 12 Old Hateville Road in Zone 3.
Yes.
And is 2608 Metropolitan Parkway in Zone 3?
Yes.
Do you have any idea approximately how far apart those two addresses are?
No, ma'am, not without looking at a map.
Okay, come back to that. So you were an investigator in Zone 3 in January of 2013?
I believe so.
Right. You said before you became a sergeant in Zone 5 in 2014 that you were an investigator in Zone 3.
And before that, an officer in Zone 3.
Okay. Tell me when you started working as an officer and when you started working as an investigator.
I got to Zone 3 approximately July of 2010. I worked as an officer in Zone 3 until I got promoted to an investigator in Zone 3, which was the end of January of 2020. 2013.
Tell the jury a little bit about the responsibilities and duties you had as an officer in Zone 3.
As an officer, your main priorities are responding to 911 calls. Secondarily, you are to interdict crime, and you can do that in a variety of ways. Usually, officers utilize the traffic stop and the suspicious person stop. We also perform what we call directed patrols, which is an area that is known to be a high crime area. So officers might pull into the parking lot there, turn their blue lights on, and complete their paperwork there. So we do response to 911 calls, proactive work, and deterrence efforts to prevent crime.
Were you always working in uniform during your time in Zone 3 in 2013?
No.
And on what occasion would you have to not be in uniform?
When I was assigned to the crime suppression unit, we would split the unit between uniformed officers and officers that were in plainclothes. The latter part of my tenure, I was assigned to the plainclothes part of that unit. We would perform various tasks in plainclothes. Some of them would be related to narcotics activity. Some of them would be related to general crimes, or what crime was trending that week and what area it was trending in. So a lot of time we would act as the eyes and then call in uniformed officers to make stops.
Now, do you recall January 25th, 2013?
Yes.
Specifically as it relates to an incident that occurred at 2612 Old Hazel Road. What were you working on that day?
I was.
And in what capacity were you working?
I was working in a plainclothes capacity, driving an unmarked civilian vehicle.
Now, what was it that took your attention to 2612 Old Hazel Road?
We received information from our dispatcher that OnStar was tracking a vehicle that was taken in a carjacking, and it was in the general vicinity of Zone 3. And one of the beat officers let us know that he located the vehicle, and it was parked at this apartment complex.
Okay. And so, how long after you got that notification did you do anything like respond?
My partner and I got to the apartment complex parking lot maybe 10, 15 minutes later.
Okay.
We located the vehicle, and we parked in a position that we could keep our eyes on it in case somebody came back to the vehicle.
I'm going to show you what has already been admitted as evidence and marked as State's Exhibits 4A and 5A, and ask you if you recall whether or not those photographs depict the vehicle that you were calling in to look for.
They do.
So what do you do as you get into the complex to respond to this call?
After parking to keep eyes on the vehicle to see who returned to it, it's pretty much a waiting game at that point. We hadn't determined yet how long we were going to wait to see if somebody came to the vehicle. I think it took about 45 minutes before we saw the vehicle drive past us. So we had initially not seen who entered the vehicle and drove it away, but the apartment complex is constructed in a way that the parking lot is like a big circle. So the vehicle came back past us and reversed into its parking spot that it previously occupied.
Okay. How far away from you was the parking spot where the vehicle backed into?
I don't recall, but we were close enough that we could make out a general description of the driver.
What was the general description of the driver?
Black male with black clothing and a do-rag.
Okay. What kind of do-rag?
I believe it was black in color.
Okay. What did that person do once they pulled in?
Well, I drove closer to the vehicle to get a better description of the driver and to try to see what apartment they were walking into. So as I did that, the driver turned and looked at us, so we were made at that point, most likely. So we saw the driver.
I'm going to object to this person being made.
Basis?
Speculation.
I'm going to overrule the objection, sir, at this point in time.
Go ahead, please.
So we saw the driver walk into the building, and then a short time later, several other people exited the building.
What, if any, apartment or building or unit did they walk out of? Do you know?
I believe it is apartment number 7.
And at this point, how far away from the vehicle that you were surveilling were you seated?
Approximately 10 feet.
What happened after that?
After the driver entered the building, several other males exited. They looked at my partner and myself in our vehicle, and they began motioning for us to roll our window down. They were shouting obscenities while doing so.
Now, what were the ethnicities or races of the other persons who came out of the building?
Black males.
Do you remember any general description of the persons who were yelling obscenities?
It would just be that they were probably all under 25 years old or around that age.
And what, do you know why they were yelling obscenities?
Objection, false speculation.
I stay in the objection.
I would draw that because you don't know what's in their head, but what obscenities were they yelling at you?
I did not roll the window down to the best of my recollection. There were some middle fingers. There were some gang signs being thrown. I cannot tell you what they were,
Okay.
but it was aggression was the general gist of it.
All right. So what did you do upon the showing of this aggression?
At first I did nothing, and then one of the males, who was the most I would say violent with his hand signals, his signs being thrown, and his motioning for me to roll down the window, lifted his waistband to show us that he had a pistol in his pants.
And what did he do at that point?
He pulled the pistol from his pants and held it down beneath his waistline while pointing the barrel at myself and my partner.
What did you do at that point?
I drove away. I drove toward the front of the apartment complex, and then we communicated with our uniformed officers that we call a takedown team that we needed assistance.
What happened at that point?
We circled around the parking lot because we saw the suspect who pointed the gun at us run away from the parking lot. I believe that he ran the opposite direction from the street, so we're traveling one way toward the street and he's running the other way. We drove around the apartment complex, as I explained before. It's set up like a circle or a U, and we saw him coming back into the apartment complex through a hole in the fence. So he'd already made it outside of the fence and he was coming back in.
When you all saw him coming back in, what happened?
There was another vehicle that was traveling around the U. He flagged that vehicle down and then jumped in through the front passenger seat.
Then what happened?
The vehicle drove back out of the complex. By that time, one of our marked units had made it into the area, and the suspect exited the vehicle. The vehicle just stopped in the middle of the roadway, and the suspect got out of the front passenger seat and began walking away from the vehicle. And at that time, the two uniformed officers who were in the takedown vehicle were able to take him into custody.
Were there any items collected that had been discarded by that person?
Yes, we called in the assistance of a K-9 officer. It was from a railroad police department, might have been CSX, I'm sure it's in the report. And myself and my partner searched the wooded area where we saw the suspect re-enter the apartment complex. The K-9 was able to find a firearm that had been placed inside of a bucket.
And was that firearm the same description as the one that the person had pulled out after showing you the violent gangs or hand signs?
Yes, ma'am, I was able to identify it as the same weapon.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 2 Alpha and 3 Alpha. As defense does not need to take any look at it, I'll show it to you and ask you if you recognize 2A and 3A.
I recognize them as being the gun that was on scene at the time.
Okay. Are those fair and accurate reflections of the firearm that you collected?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state tenders 2A and 3A as evidence.
Any objection to 2A or 3A? Mr. Adams or anybody else?
On behalf of the Board.
Anybody else?
No, Your Honor.
All right. 2A and 3A are admitted and may be published as you see fit.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm holding up 2A and 3A for the jury. Captain Pettis, let me back up to the time that you said that you saw the vehicle back into the parking lot before the gentleman got out and went inside. Was this gentleman, did you do or say anything to that gentleman?
No.
And how long would you estimate it was from the time that he went inside to the time that the group of people came outside?
Less than a minute.
And did a group of people come directly towards you, or were they doing something else and you noticed you?
I think that the...
Objection to speculation.
Sustaining this form.
What did you observe?
I observed them come out of the building with their attention already focused
Where?
on the vehicle that I was driving, myself and my partner.
Okay.
And then they immediately began throwing the gang signs and yelling at us.
Had you done anything to that group of gentlemen before they came out, focusing on you and your partner, throwing the gang signs and yelling at you?
No, ma'am.
Now, when you talk about gang signs, how long have you worked overall in law enforcement?
17 years.
And what, if any, training or experience have you had during that time that would give you the ability to recognize what a gang sign is?
We certainly had a block of instruction in the academy. In field training, we would...
It's 12 o'clock.
...be taught to look for those signs from our field training officers, pointing out the signs. But we would literally drive down the street and gang members would throw gang signs at the police car. Throughout my years, I've attended various other trainings that show gang indicators from tagging to dress to words being said, certainly the colors and hand signs being the most fluid and evolving indicator of a criminal street gang.
And how were you able to discern, a gang sign from just the middle finger?
I think it would be in the forming of the hands and it doesn't look like a middle finger. It's more complex than that.
All right. I'm going to show you what has been marked as state's exhibit 6 alpha, 7 alpha, 8 alpha, and 9 alpha as it relates to this particular incident. And also let me ask, before I do show you these, 2612 Old Hayfield Road, that's in Fulton County?
Yes.
All right. I'm showing you, and given that this has been already served upon offense, showing you 6A, 7A, 8A, and 9A. Would you look at those without publishing to the jury? And let me know if you recognize those photographs, the person who picked it.
I do not.
Okay. Do you, at the time that this incident occurred, are you the one that photographed anyone who had been arrested?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Who was it that did that?
I don't know for certain.
Was it a crime scene tech, is what I'm asking?
No, ma'am. I think that it was one of our supervisors who responded to the scene.
Okay.
They usually kept the one camera that we had for the entire zone.
All right. And how did the supervisor, or how did you all document or associate photographs with a particular incident?
It's usually done right there.
I'm going to object. If he doesn't know, he's speculating.
Your Honor,
I stand as
he's literally answering.
I stand it. It's the form of the question.
Okay.
I'll sustain the objections to that. You can rephrase it, madam.
Sure. When photographs are taken during the course of an incident that you are involved in, is there a way that the photographs are associated with the incident itself?
The answer is yes. I'm trying to figure out the best way to say it. So let me think about it for a second.
Okay.
In most cases, the photographs are associated with the incident that's occurring by way of the officer or the investigator that is on scene.
Okay. And are those photographs associated with the incident number in the record keeping?
Objection escalated.
I stand it as to form.
Is there an incident number associated with the photographs?
Yes.
Is that incident number and those photographs stored in the normal course of business with the Atlanta Police Department?
Yes.
Now, who is it that was arrested as a result of this incident that took place with you?
The suspect's name is Mr. Trontavious Stevens.
All right. And were there any other persons who were arrested on that day?
Objection, relevant.
Yeah.
I'll overrule the objection.
I believe that there was one other person arrested, but it was for a warrant, not a crime that had occurred that day.
And so the arrest that you made, or that was made that day, what was that arrest for as it relates to what you were looking at?
Mr. Trontavious Stevens was charged with aggravated assault, and he also had an outstanding arrest warrant. I believe it was out of East Point for aggravated assault.
Okay. Do you know what Mr. Trontavious Stevens' arrest warrant out of East Point for aggravated sexual assault, was that related to?
No, ma'am.
Was the other person who was arrested, what was that other person's name? Do you recall?
No, ma'am.
Was showing you a copy of your incident report refresh your recollection?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to show you what we have labeled as State's Exhibit 50 Alpha, the narrative provided to defense and discovery. But you just take a look at page 15 at the bottom. Just read it to yourself and do not read it out loud. Just look up when you've had a chance to read it.
Okay.
Who is that person?
Mr. Desmond Hurst.
Now, was Mr. Hurst with Mr. Stevens when all of this happened?
No.
Okay. Where was Mr. Hurst?
Mr. Hurst was inside of apartment 7.
All right. And how was Mr. Hurst found?
Object as to relevance, Your Honor.
I'll allow it, Mr. Adams.
How was Mr. Hurst found?
The Zone 3 Crime Suppression Unit obtained a search warrant for apartment 7. The objective of the search warrant was to try to locate the vehicle keys of the stolen vehicle, of the carjacked vehicle. And during that search warrant, I've already forgotten his name. The other arrestee,
Mr. Hurst?
Mr. Hurst, thank you, was arrested because he was inside of the apartment and showed to have an arrest warrant.
Now, the vehicle you described Mr. Stevens as getting into, what kind of car was that?
Objection to characterization of testimony.
I'll let you rephrase it. I'll sustain it as a form.
When you spoke about Mr. Steve, or better yet, when you spoke about the guy that flashed the gun at you, walking up to the front of the complex and getting in a car, what kind of car did you get into?
I think it was a Buick.
Okay. Was there a traffic stop made on the Buick by Georgia State Patrol? As a result of what happened?
Yes.
Okay. And where was that traffic stop made on the Buick?
Not far, at a gas station on Cleveland Avenue. The apartment complex that's on Old Hateville is maybe a couple hundred yards away from Cleveland Avenue.
What gas station?
I believe it was a BP.
What was the address of the BP?
It was in the 100 block of Cleveland Avenue.
If I show you your report, will it refresh your recollection as to the exact address of the BP?
Yes.
All right. Showing you again, State's Exhibit 50A, asking you to look at the third paragraph from the bottom. And just don't read it out loud. Just read it and tell me if that refreshes your recollection.
Yes.
All right. Please tell the jury what the address of that BP gas station that the traffic stop was made by the Buick.
The address was 151 Cleveland Avenue.
151 Cleveland Avenue?
Yes.
And who were the occupants of that vehicle? Do you recall?
No, ma'am.
Would showing you the report refresh your memory?
Yes.
And showing you the narrative, asking you to look at that same paragraph.
Okay.
Don't read it out loud. Just look at it and put it down and tell me if it's refreshed.
Okay.
And I'll just leave that there for you to refer to if you need. So who are the occupants of that vehicle?
Mr. Stovall and Miss Latrice.
Were those Jarrell Stovall and Shawanda Latrice?
I sustain the objection.
Do you recall their first names?
Yes.
Please tell us their first names. And if you have to refer to the document to refresh your memory, let us know that that's happening.
Okay, I'm referring to the document.
Don't read it, but you have to look up and tell me.
Okay. Mr. Jarrell Stovall and Miss Shawanda Latrice were their names.
Now, when police went to apartment 7 of the complex, were there other persons inside?
Yes.
Besides the one that was taken into custody?
Yes.
Do you recall who those other persons were?
No, ma'am, I'd have to refer to the document.
All right. Would you refer to the document? Don't read it. Look up when you've had a chance to refresh your memory.
Okay.
Who are the other persons inside?
Alfonso Dixon, Trevez Watkins.
Watkins?
No, I have to look again. Johnson.
Okay.
And the aforementioned Mr. Hurst.
All right. What were the races or ethnicities of these young men?
Black males.
All right. Now, were the occupants of the Buick any of the people that had come out of apartment number 7?
No, ma'am.
Were the people that came out, including Mr. Stevens, did you indicate in your report whether they had come out of apartment number 7?
I did not indicate that.
Now, when you said that you looked at the occupants of the Buick and decided they had not come out of number 7, do you recall what you said in your report about the occupants of apartment number 7 as it relates to walking towards your vehicle?
No, I do not.
Would reading your report refresh your memory? And if it would not, you have to tell me so that we can take another step.
I don't think it would.
All right. The report that I have in front of me that is marked as State Exhibit 58. Would you look at it, not for the sake of refreshing your memory, but look at it and tell me if you recognize the report, first of all?
I do recognize the report.
How do you recognize the report?
It looks like the one that I wrote on January 25th, 2013.
Okay. Now, the report that you wrote on January 5th of 2013?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that written in close proximity temporally to the time that the incident occurred?
Yes.
And is it a routine part of your responsibilities and your practice to memorialize incidents as they occur?
Yes.
And does the report that you memorialize, the incidents that you write a record of, do they accurately inside your report reflect the incidents that took place in close proximity temporally to the report?
Yes.
All right. And are these reports made during the normal course of business with the Atlanta Police Department?
Yes.
And was this report made based on the personal knowledge you had at the time that the incident occurred?
Yes.
Your Honor, under 24-803, past recollection recorded the state tenders, states exhibit 50A alpha.
Any objection to States 50A?
One moment, please.
Mr. Adams.
One moment, please. No objection to its admission. This one does not go out to the jury.
All right. States 50A is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Captain Pettis, would you please read the third paragraph from the bottom in its entirety, starting with several?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Several Georgia State Patrol officers performed a traffic stop on the Buick in the parking lot of the BP gas station located at 151 Cleveland Avenue and detained its occupants, Mr. Jarrell Stovall, 04-12-82, and Ms. Shawanda Latrice, 07-25-91. This detention was necessary to confirm or dispel whether or not these occupants were involved in the carjacking. Officer J. Brown and Sergeant T. Henninger, 2397, knocked on the door of apartment number 7. After knocking several times, the door was eventually opened. There were 3 males inside, and they all were detained. Those males were Mr. Travis Johnson, 11-04-85, Mr. Desmond Hurst, 07-17-95, and Mr. Alfonso Dixon, 08-26-91. Officers M. Johns and K. Collins relocated with Mr. Stevens back to the apartment complex. Officer Ramirez and I then did a drive-by viewing of the occupants of the Buick and determined that they were none of the people that came out of apartment number 7 and walked toward our vehicle.
Right there. When writing, they were none of the people that came out of apartment number 7 and walked towards your vehicle. Who were you referring to?
The occupants of the Buick.
No. You said they were none of the people. Occupants were.
She's testifying at this point. She's stuck with his answer.
Your Honor, there's no stuck with the answer.
Hold on. I will sustain that objection. So, Ms. Love, you do have to go through the proper foundation.
Sure, Your Honor.
You just can't tell the witness no.
I'm not trying to tell them. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you just started to, so that's why you drew an objection.
All right.
All right.
So, Captain Pettis, let me make sure I understand. When reading that last sentence, when you said none of the people, they were none of the people, who were you referring to when you said they were none of the people?
Can I refer to the report?
Yes, please.
The people that I'm referring to are Mr. Jarrell Stovall and Ms. Shawanda Latrice.
Now, if you would, please go up to the third paragraph. Actually, you know what? Start at the top and read the first 3 paragraphs.
Your Honor, I'm going to object.
Your Honor, it's an
Let him finish his objection first, madam. Okay, what's your base of your objection?
It's going to be cumulative. He's already testified. It's going to be improper bolstering. He's already testified about the items that she's asking him.
I sustain it as to the
Your Honor,
second basis.
there's a particular part that he has not testified about. I'm certain Mr. Adams is aware of it. And
Well, I'm going to sustain the question as formed as of yet. You can rephrase it if you like.
All right. Starting at the top of paragraph 3, would you read what you wrote there in paragraph 3?
I witnessed a black male, approximately 25 years old, wearing all black clothing with a black do-rag and black hat, reverse the vehicle into its parking spot, and then exit and walk toward apartment number 7. By this time, I had driven my undercover vehicle to within 10 feet of the target vehicle so that I could observe where the driver was going. The driver stopped walking and looked at me. Several other males then exited apartment number 7 and walked down to the street level. The males were yelling at me and motioning for me to roll down my window. One of the males, later identified as Mr. Trontavia Stevens, was more aggressive than the other males in trying to get me to roll down my window.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, do you recall the serial number of the file?
No, ma'am.
Would you please read the next to the last paragraph of the narrative of your report?
Officer Ramirez and I then met Norfolk Southern Railroad Police Officer J.S. Shirley and his K9 Smoke near the hole in the fence that Mr. Stevens used. Smoke tracked toward a plastic bucket approximately 30 feet inside
Damn, where the hell supposed to go? You got kicked out, posted. If you can hear me on YouTube.
Several Georgia State Patrol officers performed a traffic stop on the Buick in the parking lot of the BP gas station located at 151 Cleveland Avenue and detained its occupants, Mr. Jarrell Stovall, 04-12-82, and Ms. Shawanda Latrice, 07-25-91. This detention was necessary to confirm or dispel whether or not these occupants were involved in the carjacking. Officer J. Brown and Sergeant T. Henninger, 2397, knocked on the door of apartment number 7. After knocking several times, the door was eventually opened. There were 3 males inside, and they all were detained. Those males were Mr. Traverse Johnson, 11-04-85, Mr. Desmond Hurst, 07-17-95, and Mr. Alfonso Dixon, 08-26-91. Officers M. Johns and K. Collins relocated with Mr. Stevens back to the apartment complex. Officer Ramirez and I then did a drive-by viewing of the occupants of the Buick and determined that they were none of the people that came out of apartment number 7 and walked toward our vehicle.
When writing, they were none of the people that came out of apartment number 7 and walked towards your vehicle. Who were you referring to?
The occupants of the Buick.
No. You said they were none of the people. Occupants were.
She's testifying at this point. She's stuck with his answer.
Your Honor, there's no stuck with the answer.
Hold on. I will sustain that objection. So, Ms. Love, you do have to go through the proper foundation.
Your Honor.
You just can't tell the witness no.
I'm not trying to tell them.
Yeah, well, you just said to, so that's why you drew an objection.
All right. So, Captain Bettis, let me make sure I understand. When reading that last sentence, when you said none of the people, they were none of the people, who were you referring to when you said they were none of the people?
Can I refer to the report?
Yes, please.
The people that I'm referring to are Mr. Jarrell Stovall and Ms. Shawanda Latrice.
Now, if you would, please go up to the 3rd paragraph. Actually, you know what? Start at the top and read the first 3 paragraphs. Your Honor, I'm good. Your Honor, it's
Yeah.
Finish his objection.
Nah.
Okay, what's your base of your objection?
It's going to be cumulative. He's already testified. It's going to be improper bolstering. He's already testified about the items that she's asking.
I sustain this.
Your Honor, there's a particular part that he's not.
Nah. Bitch, don't make me stand up again.
Ain't no question is formed as of yet. You can rephrase it if you like.
All right. Starting at the top of paragraph 3, would you read what you wrote there in paragraph 3?
I witnessed a black male, approximately 25 years old, wearing all black clothing with a black do-rag and black hat, reverse the vehicle into its parking spot and then exit and walk toward apartment number 7. By this time, I had driven my undercover vehicle to within 10 feet of the target vehicle so that I could observe where the driver was going. The driver stopped walking and looked at me. Several other males then exited apartment number 7 and walked down to the street level. The males were yelling at me and motioning for me to roll down my window. One of the males, later identified as Mr. Trontavia Stevens, was more aggressive than the other males in trying to get me to roll down my window.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, do you recall the serial number of the firearm?
No, ma'am.
Would you please read the next to the last paragraph of the narrative of your report?
Officer Ramirez and I then met Norfolk Southern Railroad Police Officer J.S. Shirley and his K9 Smoke near the hole in the fence that Mr. Stevens used.
Smoke tracked toward a plastic bucket approximately 30 feet inside the wood line, which contained the pistol that Mr. Stevens pointed at me. The pistol was a black Beretta .380 caliber semi-automatic